Okay, we are now back. Want to welcome everybody for our Wednesday night small group here at Right Connection Church. For everyone that's in the audience and everyone that's done tuned in via our YouTube, everybody do the wave if you want to. But we are thankful that everybody's here. Tonight's going to be a little different because we do not have a actual study guide that we're going to go by. This is going to be a talk back time and an idea to get you thinking. And we're going to ad lib it, and we're going to go where the Holy Spirit takes it. But we are going to be talking about the miracles of Jesus. And the saddest thing about our nation, and the greatest thing about our nation, is man's law is not God's law. And the sad part is God's law is not man's law. And we're going to be talking about some miracles here. But let's invite him in. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, mercy, and grace that you just overflow with abundance to us. And we give you praise, glory, and honor. We ask your presence here with us, that this message will glorify you and get others thinking and make them want to dig into the Word and learn about you better and further and to be strengthened. Speak through me, dear Lord, so I may glorify you in this message. Protect us and guide us, and we give you praise for this day. In Jesus' name, amen. The miracles of Jesus. Has anybody ever really stopped and thought about what they were? And I've always contend in my emptiness of my brain that if he was alive today and did what he did back then, he would probably be arrested and placed in jail within, I'm going to say, 48 hours for what he's doing because of man's law and our inability to understand and our inability to actually see and give him credit. And I went through and I found about 40 listed miracles that he done in his little time that he was here. And the greatest thing is they estimate his age somewhere around 33 when he died. In 33 years of life, over 2,000 years ago, what he did, we're still talking about it today. And we're still arguing about it. And we're still getting people to think and look at it in different ways. How insignificant we are. What have we done in life that somebody will even talk about a week after we're gone, let alone 2,000 years. So I thought that was really amazing. But we're going to have a little humor tonight, and we're going to talk some about the miracles. The first one, in today's time with everything you've seen going on in New York, New Jersey, and everybody with the babies and all, his first miracle, he was born by a virgin birth. In today's time, chances of even being in the womb that long and surviving it would probably be less than 40%. Now that's just my number that I'm thinking from my heart. I don't have the actual statistics. But think about it being in New York and the virgin birth. You can't do that. How many laws did he break? Got that little child there pregnant, and she ain't experienced life. Our older president, I don't want my daughter tied down with a baby. Ain't that something? His first miracle, though, born of the virgin birth. So many laws that was broken. Can you imagine the lawyers that would line up to represent the mother and how he wants to sue everybody, and somebody's got to pay for this? God's law, man's law, they don't coincide. But I thought that was rather interesting, the first one. And everything that's going on in life today, everything that's happening in the legislators, even last night on the State of the Mess address, was talking about having the abortions and banning them and stopping them. Yeah, something needs to be done, because think about that, is a virgin birth and what it would done. How many lawyers you think be lined up to protect and go after the woman? We got to get somebody for this. How much counseling do you think they're going to need? How many homes they got to have? So sad. His first miracle, though, after that, he changed water into wine. You'll see that in John 2:11, or 2:1 through 11. He changed water into wine. Now, do you know how many federal, state, and other violations that he created? A violation of the ATF Acts, tax season, violation of the federal excise tax. You're going to be facing at least 10 years in prison because he done that. And depending upon the alcohol content of the wine, whether it could be served as distilled product or down at wine level, if it's distilled, you're looking about $2 a bottle tax on that versus 21 cents if it's just wine. But they want their share. Now, he made it, but he didn't have the permits. So he'd be arrested, and you would probably have him in jail for $10,000 fine, 5 to 10 years in jail. Because man's law is going to stand up to him. I ain't going to say he was the original, but he's the one that's had the most attention. That was his miracle he done. What would man law do to him? They're going to lock him up. Tax evasion, violation, distillery, running a winery, all this thing. And then you can make it, but you can't give it to nobody. You can't sell it. So he's in violation of all kind of health laws there. And they would take him down real quick. Now here's one. Next one he did, healing of the royal officer's son. You'll find that verse in John 4, 46 through 54. It says the royal officer who had a sick son in Capernaum heard that Jesus had traveled into the town of Cana. The official went there and begged Jesus to go to Capernaum and heal his official son, who was about to die. Jesus told the man that his son would live. The man believed Jesus and left. While the man was returning, his servants met him on the way and told him his son was alive and the sun fever had gone away at 1 p.m. the day before. The man realized that was the same time that Jesus told him his son would live. He did a healing. Now, penalty for practicing medicine without a license. Yep, got him there. Jail and in prison. Person convicted, misdemeanor. It could be without the license. There's licensing forms there that he's in violation of. State, federal, felony offenses, and significant other offenses. He'd be locked up for at least 8 years in the state prison because he did a healing. Man's law, not God's law. Thought that was really interesting. So y'all remember that one. It gets better. We're going to have some fun here. Y'all can shout back if you see something you don't like. Healing of a possessed man in Capernaum. He's got practicing medicine without a license again. He got to jail or prison time. You can find that little thing there in Mark 1, 21, 28, and Luke 4, 33. He's going to go in up to a year for that on felony offenses because he healed another man. And it gets better because the more times he does this, the greater the fine, the greater imprisonment will be because he's habitual. He enjoyed doing it. Next one he done, he healed Peter's mother-in-law. Penalty again for practicing medicine without a license. That was in Matthew 8:14 and Mark 1:29-31. Said after Jesus healed the possessed man in the synagogue in Capernaum, he and his disciples went over to Simon and Andrew's home, where they found Simon's mother-in-law sick in bed with a high fever. Jesus took her by the hand and helped her sit up. The fever suddenly left, and she got up and prepared dinner for them. Did the healing, and now he's making her get up and work. Forced slavery. How about that? Man's law versus God's law. Which one you want to trust? I think I'm going to trust God's law. But, hey, practicing medicine without a license again. Healing the sick during the evening. Penalty for practicing medicine without a license again. He said after Jesus healed his mother-in-law, Jesus healed many people during the evening and all kind of illnesses, as explained in the Gospel of Luke. At sunset, the people brought to Jesus all who had various kinds of sicknesses, and laying his hands on each one, he healed them. Moreover, let's see here, 6, yeah. Moreover, demons come out of many people, shouting, "You are the Son of God." But he rebuked them and would not allow them to speak, because he knew he was the Messiah. Many times, sitting there, did the healing. Penalty for practicing medicine without a license. Lock him up. How many lawyers would be lined up ready to do that? How many judges would, this man's a lunatic? How many people?
What about raising Lazarus?
Oh, we get there. Oh, hang tight. We gonna have fun. We got a lot of stuff here. Now, catching a large number of fish. Let's see here. Luke 5, 3 and 10. Stepping in Simon's boat, Jesus asked Simon to push out a little into the water so he could sit in the boat and speak to the crowd on shore. When he finished speaking, he told Simon to go out to deeper water and let down his nets. Simon replied, "We've already worked through the night but didn't catch anything. But if you say so, we'll try again." And this time the nets were so full they began to tear. A shout for help brought another boat, and soon the boats were filled with fish on the verge of sinking. It was during this miracle Jesus told Simon, "Do not be afraid from now on. You'll be fishing for souls of men." U.S. Wildlife and Fisheries just got him. Department of Natural Resources, the game warden, and everybody else for overfishing. How about that? They're going to get him because you over your limit. You didn't have a license. He went fishing without a license. They're going to get him for that. Look at me the years he'll serve in jail for there. Lose his boat. and probably didn't have the life jacket, the proper safety equipment. Didn't have a flare gun back then. I guess you have to hold up a lantern or put it on a stick and throw it at somebody. I don't know. Probably didn't have a whistle. But all the stuff in safety violation. Do what? No, didn't. I might say they didn't have life jackets, but he got it. So all the stuff from the National Marine Fisheries Service and the Department of Natural Resources, violation and jail time. They'd lock him up just for doing that miracle. He healed the leper. This is in Matthew 8. But after preaching the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus came down the hillside, followed by a large crowd. A leper approached him, knelt before him, and worshiping and pleading. "If you want to, you can heal me." Jesus touched the man and said, "I want to. Be healed." And instantly, the leper was healed. What did he do there? Practicing medicine without a license again. The Dermatology Association, the skin doctors and all, there he is. He's practicing medicine without a license. He's not authorized. He's not board certified. And he don't have a sterile environment that he's working in. So DHEC's going to get him, and all the other licensings are going to get him. And what's he going to do? They're going to lock him up, and he's going to serve time. God's law, man's law. Who you want to trust? Next one he did, healing a centurion servant. See, in Capernaum, how do you pronounce that? Anybody know? Huh? Capernaum. Okay. Joe got it. Ding, 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 ding. 2 points. A centurion came to Jesus asking to have his servant who was close to death healed. When Jesus said he would come out and cure the servant, the centurion answered that he was not worthy to have Jesus come out under his roof, but only speak the word and his servant would be healed. Jesus was amazed and told his followers that not ever correction, not even in Israel had he found such faith. Jesus told the centurion to go. Let it be done for you according to your faith, and your servant was healed. What did he do? I'm aggravating y'all knew who I'm aggravating. Y'all can hear him because the devil's in the details, and y'all can hear that. So that's fine. I must be striking a note that somebody is getting kind of edgy with. But what did he do there? Same thing. Practicing medicine without a license. But then he did it at a distance, so he crossed boundaries. So not even sure that he was licensed or was authorized to operate in that section of town. So now he's got another charge. Number 10, he healed a paralytic. Again, practicing medicine without a license. I got my tongue slid over my teeth and I can't see what I'm saying tonight. Yeah, he healed a paralyzed person, paralytic, as they call it, paralytic. Hey, I'm Southern. What can I say? I'll get my words right. My tongue is all twisted up on me. But yeah, that you'll find that in do what? Quadriplegic. Yeah. There was a large crowd around the house, and Jesus was staying in Capernaum. With no room left outside the house, 4 men dug through the roof and lowered a paralyzed man on a mat right in front of Jesus. When Jesus saw how strongly they believed that he would help, Jesus said to the sick man, "Son, your sins are forgiven." Some of the Jewish leaders thought this was blasphemy, for only God can forgive sins. Jesus let them know that the Son of Man has the authority on earth to forgive sins, and said to the paralytic, that's the way this one's written, "I say to you, stand up, take your mat, and go home." The man stood up, took his mat, went outside before all of them. So they were all amazed and glorified God, saying, "We have never seen anything like this before." The miracle, twisted up, broken person, and he healed him and sent him on his way. Again, you got the Orthopedic Association that's going to get him, all the chiropractors, all the other doctors, the judges. Penalty for practicing medicine without a license. How can you heal without our authority? How can you touch people without our authority? God's law? Man's law? It ain't real confusing, is it? Another one, he healed a withering hand. In Matthew, in a synagogue, Jesus entered. A man was there with a withered hand. Being it was unlawful to work on the Sabbath, they watched to see if Jesus would cure him. Jesus knew what they were thinking and said to them, "I ask you, is it lawful to do good or to do harm on the Sabbath, to save a life or destroy it?" He then told the man to stretch out his hand, and as he did so, the hand was restored. The Pharisees then left and conspired against him. Who are the Pharisees in our today's time? Well, you got a good lead there. It's the legalistic people who are hung up so much on their titles and what they say you can do. There again, penalty for practicing medicine without a license. All the orthopedic doctors are going to come in on him again because he straightened out the bones. He straightened out the skin. Practicing medicine without a license, right there in front of him. Now here comes a good one. Number 12. And this one will kind of get you. And found this story in Luke 7:11 through 17. Approaching the town in Nain, the dead and only son of a widow was being carried out. When Jesus saw this, he had compassion for the widow and told her not to weep. He then touched the bearer and said, "Young man, I say to you, rise." The dead man sat up and began to speak. and Jesus gave him to his mother. The people, seeing this, glorified God, and the word about him spread throughout Judah and all the surrounding country. He raised a dead man. South Carolina, you can look this up if you want to. South Carolina Code 1617-600. Destruction or desecration of human remains in repositories, liability for crematoriums, operators, and penalties. And it's unlawful to do that. You cannot disturb a grave. You cannot disturb a dead person. The penalties is a felony, and a conviction will be $5,000, and in prison for not less than 1 year and not more than 10 years, because he interfered with a dead person. A felony that he would be convicted of because he did it in front of witnesses. Can you imagine the idiot sitting there seeing that? There's no doubt the person is dead. I mean, there's certain smells, there's certain things that happen to a body after a couple days. And when you taking them to the grave, and back then, they knew they were dead. You didn't need 15 accounts of coroner's reports and all the law enforcement to come out, all the medical personnel and everybody. You didn't need that. They knew this person has ceased to be. It's an empty vessel now. But he raised him. And in our law, he would get 10 years and a $5,000 fine for doing that. Because he had compassion, and he seen the woman crying. That was really her only son. That was the only one that was really keeping the home together. And that's what he would get. Lock him up. He's doing miracles. And this is a good one. Calm in the stormy seas. You'll find that story in Matthew 8:23. Jesus got into the boat with his disciples to cross the Sea of Galilee. A great windstorm arose, causing high waves. The waves beat into the boat so that the boat was being swamped. Jesus was sleeping on a cushion in the stern. When his disciples, fearing they will die, woke Jesus up, he rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." Then the wind ceased. Let me get my pages stuck together the way it printed out for me. Sorry about that. The wind ceased, and there was a dead calm. Jesus said to them, "Why are you afraid? You still have no faith." The disciples were filled with great awe and said to one another, "Who is this that even the wind and the sea obey him?" What did he do there? Well, in today's time, he would probably have all the media and everybody against him, because we spent an hour preparing this forecast and you just screwed it up. It is federal rules on navigatable waterway requirements, and you cannot do anything to interfere with a navigatable waterway. You cannot change the path. You cannot change the levels. You cannot change the directions. And that is a federal law. And then you got DHEC there, because they got to say about the water on where it goes. You've experienced this, ain't you? What happens when you impound water? How many rules and regulations did you have come up? Huh? That's been what, 2 years now? 3 years. 3 years for a little pond that was messed up, and they still fighting the rules and regulations on what to do about it. This man calmed it, and he violated all kinds of federal and state laws by doing it. Be calm, be still. And our people would jump on him and arrest him because he interfered with a navigatable waterway. And they consider that anything that you can walk in if there is a stream, a puddle, and a stream, that is a navigatable waterway because you can navigate by it. And here they got him going to lock him up because, be still. Stop the wave. Stop the wind. Not by the law, because it's still a wetland. It gets funny. Y'all can throw something back at it. I mean, we just talking. We having fun tonight. And I wanted y'all to see the absurdity of what would really go on. I am not making light of the miracles. Yeah, true. Just watch the news. Now here's another one. Let's see here. Where am I at? Healing a demonic spirit. You'll find this one in Matthew 8:28 and Mark 5, Luke. After Jesus calmed the winds and seas, he and his disciples landed in the country of Gerasenes. You know that word? A man full of demons who lived among the tombs met them. He bowed before Jesus and shouted, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? You, by God, do not torment me." Jesus asked the demon what his name. The demon answered, "My name is Legion, for we are many." He begged Jesus not to send them back into the abyss, but into a herd of swine that was nearby. Jesus told the demons to leave the man and gave them permission to enter the swine. The unclean spirits came out and entered the swine, and the herd, numbering about 2,000, rushed down a steep bank into the sea and were drowned in the sea. He healed a demonic person. But really, South Carolina Code of Laws, Title 47, Animals and Livestock Poultry. It's a felony to willfully endanger the life of livestock, free or roaming, or pinned. Yep, South Carolina going to lock him up because he put the demons into the pigs and drowned the pigs. That was willful destruction of livestock, a felony. Do you know how many days or years he would spend in court trying to defend this? It was witnessed. You done it. They did. Okay? Now not only do you have the dead animals that you got to contend with, now stormwater runoff because of the pollution into the water of the dead animals you created. Now you into a whole new set of laws that you're going to be charged with. I know this sounds stupid, but you think about it. If he come back today, this is what people would try to do to him. It was bad enough in his lifetime of the Pharisees trying to call him a liar, a lunatic, called him from Satan for doing this stuff. Ain't nothing changed. He healed a woman with internal bleeding. You'll find that story in Matthew 9:20-22. And that was a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years and had spent all that had on many physicians and was no better, but rather grew worse. Had heard about Jesus and come up behind him in a crowd and touched his cloak. For she said, "But if I just touch his clothes, I'll be made well." Immediately her hemorrhage stopped, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Jesus was aware that the power had gone from him and turned around and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" The woman knowing what happened to her came in fear and trembling and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. Jesus said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed." practicing medicine without a license again, operating in a unregistered facility, operating in a non-DHEC approved place of business. All because he can. This is what he would be facing today. If any of y'all watched the State of the Mess address last night, y'all will see what we're talking about. This is what he would be facing. Again, he raised Jairus' daughter. Yep. He was practicing medicine without a license again. And South Carolina Code 1617-600 for destruction or desecration of human remains or repositories, and liability for the cemetery and the operators. That's state law. He committed a felony by bringing a dead person back. They would lock him up just as soon as we're sitting here. Couldn't see it, but they would do it. We'll go for this a little quicker. That was number 16. And there was 40 of them that I found that was real interesting. The healing of the 2 blind men. What did he get there? Do what? Yeah, we'll cover them real quick. We ain't got to be nowhere till 8 o'clock in the morning. We all right. Healed the 2 blind men. Who did he make mad there? Practicing medicine without a license, practicing without a approved environment. And the American, well, yeah, he spit in it. So now you got the penalty for, they do it on law enforcement for spreading bodily fluids. There is a state law against that. They would get him for there. But the biggest one we get him would be the American Ophthalmology Association. You cutting into our money. We can't see you doing that. Ha-ha. Little pun, y'all get that. Mike's over there shaking his head. I don't know why I came out tonight. Healing a mute demonic. Practicing license without again. And the speech therapists are going to come down on him because he let the man speak. Had something to say. All his life he couldn't talk. Had demonic possessions of him. They're going to come down on him. 19, y'all can see this one in John 5. He healed the 38-year invalid. The man that was, Jesus saw the man who had been ill for 38 years lying by the pool of Bethesda. Jesus knew the man had been ill for a long time and asked him if he wanted to be made well. The sick man answered him that he had no one to put him in the pool when the water is stirred up. And while he is making his way, someone else steps down ahead of him. Jesus told the man, "Stand up, take your mat, and walk." The man made well at once, and he took up his mat and began to walk. Note, crowds of sick people lay on the platforms by the pool, waiting for certain movements of the water, as an angel of the Lord came from time to time to disturb the water, and the first person to step into it afterwards was healed. The Jewish leaders started persecuting Jesus, for he worked on the Sabbath, doing this miracle and telling the man to carry his mat. Jesus replied, "My Father is still working, and so am I." But he did it without a license. He's practicing medicine again. You see a pattern here of a habitual offender that the judge will want to add extra charges. The judge will want to lock him up longer to make sure he don't do this no more. Here's a fun one. Feeding 5,000 men and their family. You'll find this one in Matthew 14:16. A large crowd gathered around Jesus in a deserted place on the shore near Sea of Galilee. It was late. The people had no food, and Jesus told the disciples to give them something to eat. They replied, "There is nothing here but 5 barley loaves and 2 fish that was carried by a boy." Jesus had the food brought to him and ordered the crowd to sit on the grass. Then he took the 5 loaves, 2 fish, looked into heaven, blessed them, broke the loaves, and gave them to the disciples to set before the people. and he divided the fish among them all. The food was multiplied, and all 5,000 men and their families ate and were filled. What was left over was gathered up, 12 baskets of broken pieces. This miracle is recorded in 4 Gospels. Operating a food service. He run a kitchen. He prepared food without a DHEC approved facility. He had no certified kitchen. He had no license. I wanted to go out and take our grill and do something in the natural disaster and was told I couldn't because I don't have approval from DHEC. I don't have a food certification certificate by the state. Same thing for him. That's what would happen to him if he did that today. Probably didn't have a hairnet, didn't have gloves, but this is what they would do. They would go through it like that. Walking on water. When he walked out to sea after feeding the 5,000, and he got into the boat and he walked out there across the water. Navigatable waterway again. He violated all the state and federal laws covering that. Felony charges, he'd go to jail. Excuse me. Healing of many people in the Genseriat. Practicing medicine without a license again. No physical address to give reports to. No way of monitoring and giving all the federal and state reports, everything that they want to know about every patient that ever come into your office that you ever treated, talked to, or counseled. There's federal guidelines and state guidelines. He didn't do none of that. He would be gone. This is one I'll get on Mike a little bit and don't want to really get too bad, but he healed a demonic girl. You'll find a story there in Matthew 15, 21 through 28, and it's again in Mark 7, 24 and 30. Jesus set out in the way of the religion Tyre. A woman whose little daughter had an unclean spirit heard about Jesus, and he came and bowed down at his feet. The woman was a Gentile, and I ain't even going to try to pronounce that one, of Syrophoenician origin. She begged Jesus to cast the demon out of her daughter. Jesus replied, I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. But she again asked for help, and Jesus replied, is it not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dog? The woman answered, yes, Lord, but even the dogs eat the crumb that fall from their master's table. Jesus answered, woman, great is your faith. Let it be done as you wish. And she went home and found her child laying on the bed, and the demons were gone. The Catholic Church would have him crucified because I found that in their writings, who can perform exorcists? The priest. And he wasn't authorized to do so by our law. They're going to get him. They're going to lock him down. They're going to move him out. So, who can perform an exorcist? And it says in the Catholic Church, an exorcist is a bishop or a priest appointed by him. He wasn't appointed by them. So he can't do that. He could not work. Healing of the deaf man with the speech impediment. Michael will be familiar with this one too. There he goes again, practicing medicine without a license. He's got all those penalties, and as I said, you see this going through. He's a habitual offender. But then the American Audiology Association and the speech therapist is going to file charges on him because he done it without their approval. He does not have their license. He don't have their recognition, so he can't do it. Because we said he can't by man's law. Feeding the 4,000 men and their family, you'll find that one in Matthew 15 and Mark 8. He's operating the food service again. He's no DHEC approved kitchen, no sanitary stuff. They'll shut him down. You done committed all kind of felonies. He's gone. They'll get him right there. Healing the blind man. What did he do again? Medicine without a license. All his reporting stuff, all the federal guidelines, everything that he did. And who would come after him on that one? The American Ophthalmology Association. Yep, they'd get him. He healed the blind man and they couldn't see it. I mean, seriously, y'all think about it. This is what would happen if he come back and did what he did then today. And this is just, you would have more attorneys lining up to take these cases to try to get money. And nobody would ever look at the miracles that was really being done. Healing the man born blind. Same thing again. American Ophthalmology Association's coming to get him because he's practicing medicine without a license. We didn't give him approval to do that. He didn't pass our test to say that he was capable of doing this. He don't meet our criteria to do these things. Aren't you glad that God's law and man's law are different? Okay. Healed a demonic boy. Same thing again. Done made the church mad because we didn't give him, he's not authorized to go heal a demon. How can he run it out? Practicing medicine without a license. Now here's a good one. Y'all would see this one in Matthew 17:24. When he reached Capernaum, the tax collectors came to Peter and asked, "Does your teacher not pay the temple tax?" The temple tax. Peter said, "Yes, he does." And when he came home, Jesus spoke of the tax first and told Peter to go to the sea and cast a hook. Take the first fish that comes up, and when you open its mouth, you will find a coin. Take it and give it to them for me. So what violations did he do there? National Marine Fisheries Services, the DNR services, violations, jail, state. How about state, federal taxes? Banking violations. Want to know where the money come from? How did you get that money? Where did the money come from, and who paid taxes on it to earn it? How did he get the money? You know, where did it come from? There is laws in the state now about how much cash you can actually carry. Yeah, 5,000. Yeah, I believe it's 5,000. It may be 10. I'd have to. I did not pull that, but they were lowering it because of all the drug sales. And if you're in possession of greater amount of cash than what they say you can have, it's confiscated, and you have to go to court to prove that it's not drug money, where it come from, and you have to have your attorneys to do it. Now here he is. He gonna pull the coin to pay the taxes out of fish's mouth. All the violations that he did there with the National Marine Fisheries, DNR, the banking, it's just amazing. And you think, how many lawyers would line up to be on his side? You know, he would have to have a court-appointed attorney. Now, yeah. Well, these are things that was witnessed, and I'm talking about if he come back today and was doing these things and they were witnessed, this is what he would be facing. And you know, back then, you know, there would be, we got so many videos and everything. We got the most informed in time in existence right now. And it's scary because of some of the prophecies, but you can see it all happening. We're so well connected, so well informed, and the dumbest bunch of rocks we got on the planet. And it's funny, but this is what would be happening. He healed the blind man and the blind and mute demonic. Same thing again. The church is going to get him. American Audiology Association, the speech therapist, all going to come get him because we didn't give him permission and he ain't licensed by us to do these things. Healing of a woman with an 18-year infirmity. Again, she was twisted up, just bowed over, just drawn in. For 18 years, twisted like that. And he heals her. Y'all find that story in Luke 13. She was bent over, unable to stand up straight. He called her over, and woman, you are set free of your ailment. He laid his hands on her. Immediately she stood up straight and began praising God. Yep. Practicing medicine without a license again. Well, that could be interpreted in different ways. But yeah, somebody could charge him with assault because he unsolicited touching. There is a state statute for our prisoners called reckless eyeballing. Yep. If a male looks at a female guard in what she describes as a threatening manner, they have 90-day charge placed on them for reckless eyeballing. Mm-hmm. But they'll have him there for medicine without a license. The chiropractors are going to just go nuts trying to shut him down, because that's their job, to straighten him out. And the orthopedics and medicine is going to just get all over it. Healing of the man with dropsy. Y'all ever read that chapter and wonder what that is? You know what dropsy is? Y'all find that in Luke 14, 1-6. Swelling, holding water. Edema is what we call it today. He healed the man with that. There he goes again. Habitual offender for practicing medicine without a license. Habitual offender for not having the proper certificates, the proper training, the proper environment. Healing 10 lepers. Same thing again. Habitual offender. And then the dermatology doctors. All this, the Dermatology Association, their society, and all the stuff that they see with the skin that gets under their skin, that you get under their skin. You don't pay their bill, you'll get under their skin. I've done found that out. They'll get under your skin just by rubbing you the wrong way. But those doctors are going to get you. They're going to shut him down. And here's another one. You'll find this one in John 11, 1 and 44, about Lazarus. Poor Lazarus. What did he do for Lazarus? Brought him from the dead. And how many state and federal statutes he violated by doing that? Because, again, South Carolina Code 1617-600. Desecration, destruction or desecration of human remains or repositories. He was already in the casket. That was a repository. Shut him down, lock him up. He's committed a felony by bringing him back to life. They would get him. Lawyers be lined up, judges lined up, courts just waiting. And we do have a two-tier justice system. Because if you're accused of a crime in this country, be cautious. Because the accusing party, being the state pretty much, they have unlimited resources to prove you guilty. And you only have resources limited to what you can to prove you innocent. Try it. Try it. And that's the sad part. We have some of the best police officers. We have some great judges. We have some good courts. And we have some stomped down, dumb, ignoramus jurors who couldn't understand whether it's light or dark outside right now. And these are the ones that the state has unlimited funds to change their mind on how they feel about you. So if you have to go, I feel for you. Jesus would be in a world of hurt in our culture because of all these things. Mark 10, healing of Bartimaeus. I'll get his name right. He was blind. Ophthalmology Association going to get him and lock him down. Practicing medicine, all the other things. And here's a fun one. Y'all ever think about this one? You will find it in Matthew 21. The Gospels of Matthew and Mark describe a miracle in which Jesus came to a fig tree that was producing no fruit, even though it was sprouting leaves. When Jesus' disciples saw the same fig tree the next morning, they noticed that it had already withered and seemed surprised. Jesus told them to have faith. Have faith in God, Jesus answers. Truly I tell you that anyone that says to this mountain, go, throw yourself into the sea, and it does not doubt in their heart, but believe what they say will happen, it will be done for them. Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe you have received it, and it will be yours. And when you stand praying, if you hold anything against anyone, forgive them, so that your Father in heaven may forgive you. He cursed the fig tree, and it withered and died right then. California, you will get more time in jail for disturbing a tree than you will for robbing a store and killing the person. And we also have it under South Carolina Code 1611-570. Injury or destruction of buildings or crops by tenant. You cannot destroy fruit-bearing trees. It's a felony in the state of South Carolina. It can be a misdemeanor depending on what it is. You'll go to jail for cursing a fig tree. And they seen him do it. Yeah. Well, he cursed it and it withered and died. It wasn't his tree. So that's willful destruction of fruit-bearing crops. He would be prosecuted and gone to jail for it. Sad. He restored the severed ear, when they come to get him, and they cut the ear off. Practicing medicine without a license, performing surgeries in an uncertified environment. He wasn't in a hospital. How can you reattach that? You're not authorized. You ain't been through our credentials and testing to see if we'll allow you to do it. Because he put the ear back on, and everybody missed that. But he done it. But these are some fun things. And we're getting ready to get down to the end. We're on 38, the resurrection. Y'all see that in Corinthians and Matthew, Mark, Luke. And it was after he was crucified and nailed to the cross, he died. Then he was resurrected. What did he do there? What can y'all think of that would make somebody mad on that one? Same thing again for destruction and desecration of human remains. And what really makes it worse, because he was dead. You can't.
Destroy his human remains.
But he altered it.
He faked his death.
Well, no.
What he would be accused of today.
Well, yeah, that would be what he's accused of, but he also desecrated the human remains because he moved them. You cannot move human remains without all the permits from DHEC and the state.
Well, yeah.
So he moved them. So now he's in all kind of trouble there. But you know what really made him mad, would get him worse than anything? He refused to die. All the coroner's report, all the DHEC reports, death certificates, the legal reports. Look at the trouble he had caused in the state and the federal reporting. Boy, would they get him for all kind of, what was it for filing the false reports and everything, filing false death certificates. Look at all the work that he created because he refused to die. And our people don't understand it. Next one, they had him in there in John 21:4, where he got the whole big thing of fish again. He fed people. National Marine Fisheries Service, DNR violations and fines. They would have him locked up bigger than we sitting here. And do you think it would make the news? No, because our press wouldn't report it. But now here's the fun one. Let's see here. Acts 1:1 and 11. Jesus ascended into heaven 40 days after he was resurrected. During those 40 days, he appeared to his followers and continued to teach them. The most detailed accounts of the ascension will be recorded in the Bible's New Testament in the book of Acts, which was written by Luke. He ascended to heaven. Do you know how many federal and state laws that he just violated? He had no passport. The Space Administration didn't give anybody permission to leave the planet. You have to file for reports to get any rocket launch has to be approved by them. He did not get the proper reporting to leave the planet. He violated airspace. He don't have a travel permit. He did not go through TSA sweep, search, and body scan. Do what? He didn't file a flight plan because he didn't tell them where they're going. Yeah. No state or federal background check. Do you know, y'all fly. You know what it takes to fly? You got to have proper ID. It has to be sent in at least 72 hours before you can leave. Once you get there on the place that you paid money to go, you have to be approved that you can go there. You have to submit to a body search. They look at everything from what you had for dinner to what's in your hair. That's just to fly somewhere that you pay in to go. But you can walk into the country for no problem. But he left the planet. He refused to die. And you look at what they would do to him today for doing that. Of all the miracles that he performed, of God's law versus man's law, what do you think would really his plan? Was it to please man? Do you think he really cares about our insignificant, do-nothing laws? It would be, he's coming back. I truly believe that. When? I have no clue. And anybody that gives you a date, I would have to seriously want to talk to them and seek counseling, because nobody knows. We see signs and wonders, but you know what? It didn't bother him. He was persecuted for doing the same things over 2,000 years ago. And you know what? If he walked through this door tonight, somebody with a badge, somebody with credentials, somebody with a 3-letter organization would be here on him and arrest him, because they don't know whether he's a liar, a lunatic, or Lord. They have no clue. But ain't it great that we can come together? We can laugh about these things. We can take them and learn from them and really see where the difference between God's law and man's law. We have to put up with man's law. But I'm going to do my best of all my power first to honor God's law. He is the only person that I know of that done something over 2,000 years ago that was written in a book, and we're still talking about it today. I don't know anything in my life that I'm going to do or have done that people would talk about for 10 minutes. I'm that insignificant. I never worry about what they say. I only worry about what they can prove. So I am, I am human. We all make mistakes. But just thinking about the things that he's done and the greatest gift that he gave us was his death and his blood for us. People didn't see it then. And we're still talking about it today because people don't see it today. They don't understand it. They don't believe it. And this is why I tell you Believe what you know what you believe, and know why you believe it. I believe it because the Bible, I think, was the divine inspired word of God. Am I keeping all of its rules and regulations? Absolutely not. I'm a failure. I'm a big, fat, clumsy klutz when it comes to it. I stumble, I fall, but I know His love is there for us. When we fall, we don't stay there. We learn from it. Your lovely bride, she took a fall. She had the trip. The injury. She knows what she done, and she know not to do that again, don't she? So that's the way we are with God's law. We're going to stumble. We're going to fall. But we don't have to stay there. Somebody told me the other night that they was off their rocker. And I said, well, amazing thing is, the rocker goes both directions, and if you fall off, you can get back on. It's not permanent. God's love is permanent. We just have to be willing to accept it. This was a few things from Mike. Mike asked me if we had I was going to be talking tonight because we didn't have a video, and I said, yep, thoughts from the mindless. But these were some things that I thought y'all might enjoy. We are going to have us another group next week. We'll be starting a new series. I got a couple more of the Andy Stanleys that we'll be doing. But this was one I just wanted you to think about. Y'all seen everything of this State of the Mess address last night. You see everything that's going on in the news. You see how life is not even being thought about as worth saving anymore. And you wonder, why? They don't know and they don't believe. Mm-hmm. They don't know because they wasn't taught. It wasn't presented to them. And it's being discouraged because of man's law. What Russell talked about Sunday was if y'all Google it and just read it, you'll get a greater understanding of what's happening in the world right now, or in this country. You see all our political parties that are running. You notice the ones that have just got their the Democratic Socialist of America. Y'all look that up and find out what it is. It's the kinder, gentler Communist Party for right now. Well, I was brought up to, they think it will. I was brought up with the idea of how to fix things, how to make things work. I know electrical, I know pipe fitting, plumbing, mechanics. This is all natural to me because that's the environment that I come from. I understand it. Somebody who wasn't brought from that environment don't really know all the mechanical sides. They don't understand electrical. Mike's got a good electrical head on him. He understands the circuitry and everything on how the flows. But somebody who's never been around it don't understand it. And when you have the socialist Common Core type mentality being taught, they think this is real. This is the only way it is because I don't know no better. And I've said it before, we have failed to teach the teachers to teach the teachers. And we have to just tell them the truth. And the truth is not being told. And it's sad. But if y'all would look up those, I think it's 43 or 4, I think it's 43 rules, and it's listed, it's in the congressional record, and if you just Google the Communist Rules to Congress, 1963, you will see a whole different picture of what's happening in the United States. I'll print them and bring them to you if you want me to. Anybody wants copies, I'll bring them, because I hand it out to a lot of people, and it really shocks them when they see what's happening. And some of this You know, it was done in 63, and I've talked to people that was born after 63, and they have no clue what it is. But I show them. I said, my job is to present the information. It's your job to take it, learn from it, and see if I'm right or wrong. Don't just take what I'm telling you as gospel. I'm subject to be misled and screwed up as anybody else. I want you thinking for yourself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Yep. That's in the rules in 63. You'll find his name and what they're talking about. Look and see what your parties are up to. The Democratic Socialist Party of America. Find out what that is. Look up and see. You see a lot of them are saying we are a progressive Democrat. Really. Look up and see where that comes from. Termed from the turn of the century in 1900, 1899, 1900, when Karl Marx was beat up and run out of England for his communist views. He said, we can't use that name no more because it hurts people's feelings and they get mad at us. So we're going to be known as a progressive Democrat. That's where it comes from. So as long as you know what you're voting for, and if that's what you want, be honest with yourself. But that ain't what this country was made on. That ain't what the biblical principles that we discuss was made on. But that's enough of that. I wanted to give you these little mindless thoughts to kind of get you thinking and see where the state of the mess and everything that we're into, of what would really happen, and before somebody realized that this is wrong. So hope y'all kind of got something to think about. It was just one of the little things I wanted to give you. Take a break from our regular study group and be able to share some laughs and make you think. That's all I wanted to do. Thank you, sir. Well, there was 40 miracles that I'd pulled through and found them, and thought it'd be interesting just to show what would happen today if he come in and done them. And yeah. Yep. So that's it. We're going to close it out. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you so much that your word is spoken, that your word is true, and that it is alive and well. Even 2,000 years ago, when your son walked this earth, his words were being spoken, and we're still speaking them today. And we thank you for that, Lord. We just ask your presence here with us. Guide us, protect us as we go through. May we be strengthened in your word, your love, and your grace. And may we share it with many others who are so desperately seeking, that really need the knowledge of you in their mind, their soul, and their hearts. We just ask that you will guide us and give us strength, that we may deliver your word to them, that we may bring more to your kingdom and glorify you in all that we do. We thank you for this day and ask your praise and glory that we give you, and we thank you in the precious name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.